motor cortex is damaged in an accident, then what will happen? Your hand doesn't go. As simple as that. So what this guy did is, he took patients, put them on the bed. He had an entire system of electrical probes. And what he would do is, he would stimulate particular place of the brain's motor cortex, which causes your hand to go up. So he would take a patient and he would give an electric signal to that part of the motor cortex which causes hand to go up. And when he would do that, what would happen? Patient's hand would go up. Understood? Matlab bahar se, he gave some signal, an input, and the hand suddenly went up. Okay, now here's the question. I want you to understand this question carefully. He would ask the patient a question. Did you desire to raise your hand? Okay, what is the question? Did you desire to raise your hand? Did you desire to raise your hand? I gave a signal and your hand went up, that I can see. But did you desire to raise your hand? So what do you think would have been the patient's answer? Yes or no? No? You think he desired or he didn't desire? He did not desire, right? And that was indeed the answer. So, the problem still remained. See, what generally was thought is, the question that Penfield was trying to ask is the desire to raise the hand starting from that point of the motor cortex in the brain, which makes the hand go up? If it is starting from that part of the motor cortex, then if you give an external signal to it also, it should create a desire, or it should perhaps do something. That was the experiment he wanted to do actually. Wanted to see whether that is causing a desire and simultaneously hand also going up. But no, desire was not caused, hand went up. So his point is, normally you are desiring somewhere. So which is the source of the desire? That's still unknown. You understood? That's what I'm trying to tell you, that the brain experiments done have actually reached a dead end at this point. That every part of the brain controls every part of your bodily activity. And if you give a signal electrically from external also, your part of the body will start acting. But the question is, where is the desire coming from? So normally how it happens, we first desire to raise our hand. When we desire to raise our hand, there is a signal from that part of the motor cortex to our hand, and our hand is going up. But the whole question is, this desire itself is coming from where? Okay, that is not answered. I'm telling you what is the current stand in the domain of neurology. Does everyone understand this? So he did this not only with the hand, he did this with all parts of the body. There is a whole series of experiments. Like for example, there is some part of the brain that controls short-term memory. If you would give a trigger over there, suddenly this fellow, yesterday what he spoke with his mother or father, those thoughts would keep coming to his mind. And then he would say that all those thoughts are coming to my mind because of your signal. Then, see, so normally if I ask anyone, yesterday what did you speak to your mom over phone, maybe if you try to think, you can immediately get it. Okay? So again the question is, where is the desire coming from? So I'm just trying to say that we just don't know. Okay, that's how it stands. So now again, coming back to this understanding of consciousness. Okay, so we all understand that. So the whole the question that modern man has been asking since a very long time, or many people what they feel very strongly. I'm talking about those who do not accept the Sankhya model or this dualism model, and they believe in the singular system. The problem that they are trying to address is, where is this consciousness coming from? Or what is this consciousness at all? Or basically the question is man a machine? This is the ultimate question that man has been trying to ask. Is man basically a machine? So when I say man, woman is included in it. So yeah, it's a gender neutral term. Is man a machine? This is the question that people have been asking. Understood? Is man, for example, a very powerful computer or robot? This is the question. Understood? Please believe me that this question is not being asked from now. those of you who are in computer or IT, when you come to third year of engineering, you will study one course called as Theory of Computation. Okay? In that course, you will understand or study the theories proposed by the father of computer science. And the father of computer science is one very famous British gentleman called Alan Turing. You may have heard about him at least. Very famous personality in computer field. Alan Turing. He proposed in 1936-38 what is called as the Turing model. And the Turing model only became modern computer. You understood later. So Alan Turing also proposed this idea: is the Turing machine or is a computer equal to a human? This question. Okay. Then much later in the 1980s, this entire field of artificial intelligence came up. Okay. In Massachusetts Institute of Technology, USA, where they started building robos. Okay, or computers with intelligence. You understand what is artificial intelligence? Computers that have learning ability. That's in today's world also called as machine learning, where a computer has an ability to learn. So the question that has plagued computer scientists or general scientific community is man a machine? In case man is a machine, is he equal to the computer? Why not? Why shouldn't it be like that? That was the question. You understood? So I'll just present to you some things in that connection. Now this part is a little technical, so you have to really pay a lot of attention to grasp this. Bear with me for that. I'll be putting up this particular very interesting book which I will be putting up. Okay, I'm just going to read this thing. And also, please pay attention. I know it's a little technical, but bear with me for some time. Hopefully in some time, my session will become a little more interesting than what I'm presenting right now. Okay, science fiction writers often try to solve the problem of old age and disease by taking advantage of the idea that human being is essentially a complex machine. In a typical sense, doctors and technicians scan the head of a dying Samuel Jones with a cerebroscope. So basically, this is a piece of writing from one scientist. And this idea as such is accepted in modern science, that perhaps this is possible. It is not true, but they think that this is possible. And this conflicts directly with our consciousness theory. That's why I'm going to take this and explain this in some detail. So please pay a lot of attention. Okay? In a typical scene, doctors and technicians scan the head of a dying Samuel Jones with a cerebroscope, a highly sensitive instrument that records in full detail the synaptic connections of the neurons in the brain. You understood? That means the idea is that a dying Jones, you connect his brain to a computer, and whatever connections are there in his the neural network in his brain, you copy everything in the computer and you simulate it as a program. You understood? Hold on. A computer then systematically transfers this information into a computer program that faithfully simulates the brain's particular pattern of internal activity. You understood? That means the idea is that the brain's activity you copy in a computer. Please don't think that this has happened, but this is one of the dreams. Perhaps if that means this is a dream of those who are very strongly convinced that man is nothing but a machine. I'll tell you how. When this program is run on a suitable computer, the actual personality of Mr. Jones seems to come to life through the medium of the machine. I have escaped death. The computer exults through its electronic phenome generator. Scanning about the room with stereoscopically mounted TV cameras, the computer, Mr. Jones, appears somewhat disoriented in his new embodiment. He looks different. That means the physical Jones is dead, but his brain was copied onto the computer, and through the speaker, he says that, "Hi, I have escaped death, I'm Jones." He's talking through the computer. But when interviewed by old friends, now it's in quotes because it is a computer voice, displays Mr. Jones' personal traits in complete detail. I mean, previously, if Jones likes some movies, some books, he talks the same way. So you feel that, "Arey, ye to Jones jaise baat kar raha hai." You know, he's our friend only, like that you feel. Mr. Jones lives again in the form of a computer. Now his only problem is figuring out how to avoid being erased from the computer's memory. Because if that happens, then he's deleted basically, he's dead. Although the story may seem fantastic, some of the most influential thinkers in the world of science take seriously the basic principles behind it. So please remember, there are some people who very strongly feel that because there is nothing like consciousness beyond the brain, this is actually possible, where the brain could be copied onto a computer and the person will continue to exist in the computer. Are you understanding? This was the idea which Alan Turing also spoke in 1940. So this is a very old idea that I am presenting, but this is there. And this is all connected to this understanding that is man a machine. So if you are convinced that man is a machine, please remember this is a possibility. But if you are not convinced that man is a machine, then this doesn't remain a possibility. That's how it is. Okay? So now I will take you quickly. Now this part is very, I'm going to put this up on the my website, but I'm just going into some details of ultimately how a computer works. So please remember, this is for example an algorithm. So please remember, in a computer, now I'm moving away totally from this domain of what I'm talking and going into a little bit as to how computer works. Because when you say that Mr. Jones is speaking through the computer, actually what is happening in the computer? At the lowest level, what is happening is some instructions are being executed in the hardware. You understand? So for example, this is a program to compute square root of a number. Okay, just like there is square root of a number. Yeah? To compute square root of a number, there is a program. So please remember, just like all of you are doing C programming, so you write a high level program. Correct? So there is something called as a high level program. The high level program, for example, looks like this. Hold on. The high level program looks something like this, where there are steps which are at a higher level of abstraction. You understood? But the high level C program that you and me write, that actually gets compiled and it becomes nothing but machine level program. That means the processor on which we are running our program has basically what? A processor, and that processor understands simple instructions like add, move, multiply, so on. There are a fixed set of instructions that every processor understands. So this program that you write in a high level language, you understood, actually becomes, one second. Sorry. Yeah, it actually becomes like this. Actually becomes like this. You understood? So at any point of time, the computer, what it is doing, if you ask the processor, it is doing steps like this. Write 0 in box 2, increment 2, write 0 in box 3, copy the number in 2 into box 4. If box 4 contains 0, go to step 12, decrement 4, copy the number 2 in box 5, box 5 contains 0, go to step 5, increment, go to step 8. If the number in 3 is not greater than the number in 1, go to step 2, decrement 2. These 13 steps is the machine level implementation of the program to compute square root. Are you understanding? So why I am talking about all this, even if that Mr. Jones' brain is copied onto the computer as a program, ultimately what the computer is doing at every point of time, copying things from one box to another, making a 0 into 1, a 1 into 0. The whole question is, in this entire process, where is the awareness system? See, please remember, our Mr. Jones may say through the computer, I am Mr. Jones. But that I am Mr. Jones sentence also is ultimately nothing but some movement of numbers from one box to another. Are you getting it? So the whole question that we are trying to ask here is of awareness. Okay, one second. See, computer hardware, if you see computer hardware, it has elementary operations, higher operations and so on. But the thing is, this awareness of thoughts, feelings, perceptions, this is very abstract actually. This is very abstract. Even though a computer may say, like for example, have you ever seen Japanese robots? They can actually do some talking. Like they can say, I am Mr. So-and-so. Good morning. Yeah, they can do this kind of stuff. They can shake hands, they can do all this. But again, please remember, whatever they are doing, At the lowest, actually what they are doing in their system is moving numbers from one box to another. The question really is, where is the awareness coming from in terms of I exist as a robot? Now, why am I talking about computer? Please try to understand. Because the computer is nothing but an attempted imitation of the brain. Now, if you go to the diagram of the human brain in terms of what happens in the brain, it's pretty similar. See, in the brain also, something like this are only happening. There are basically neural operations where nothing but a signal is going from one place to another. Very similar to what we do in the computer in terms of copying a one from one box to another box. Are you getting why we took the computer example? Because the computer is nothing but an attempted imitation of the human brain. Certainly, I mean that's what we are trying to do actually. Right? So in the human brain also all these things are only happening if you see carefully. Ultimately, if you see our brain, there are various chemicals getting secreted because of which a chemical is coming from one point to another chemical is going from this point to this point, but as a whole, that awareness is where? That question is still unanswered. It is just like, suppose if I am reading a book, okay? Yeah. See, the relation between the consciousness and the physical structures of the book. When a person reads a book, he becomes aware of the higher order abstract properties of the patterns of ink on paper. Properties not directly present in the physical structure. So basically the point is, in a book also there is ink, there are letters, there are words, sentences. But somehow the author who wrote the book and the reader who is enjoying the book are enjoying the are consciously aware of the plot and imagery of the story. The beauty is that this is nowhere there in the book as such, if you see from a very chemical perspective. You understood? You are reading Harry Potter or something, you are aware of the entire thing. In fact, you are aware of all the books of that series as you go through that entire process. So where is that awareness coming from? So this is how consciousness is. So please remember, consciousness is not a very simple thing to get rid of. Okay, that is why all the brain experiments that I was talking of, they all hit that bottleneck. The brain experiments have only suggested that different parts of your motor cortex control different parts of the brain. But your desires and thoughts are coming from where? And forget all that. The mind itself is where? Like I'll tell you, for example, in allopathy you have the whole science of psychiatry, right? In psychiatry what happens? You deal with problems of mind. Right? Like somebody is depressed. Abhi depression kya hota hai? What is depression? Tell me. Are people depressed or no in the world? There are, right? I mean, you have psychiatrists who are making a lot of money. They're making a hell lot of money out of their business. In fact, in America it is said the profession where you earn maximum money is psychiatry. Yeah? If a psychiatrist earns maximum money in the Western world today. People are depressed. No, but depression ka matlab kya? You know how depression is seen? We all know what is depression because each of us, even if we are not psychic patients, sometimes we have our own bouts of depression. You know, you feel like you feel very low basically. But you know how depression is defined as some hormonal changes in the body. You understood? So actually what is happening is, in a real sense, some hormonal changes in the body is seen as depression. But from the Sankhya perspective, Sankhya says these hormonal changes in the body are the effects of depression. Are you understanding? It is just like, for example, don't we say that the face of a person is the index of his mind? Like if you are very happy, then your face shows it. If you are dejected, your face shows it. Right? So whatever emotion you have in your mind, it comes on your face. So basically the body mimics the mind. So whatever is in your mind, it comes out in the body. So similarly, from the Sankhya perspective, depression is a mental problem. The effect of depression is what? Hormonal imbalance in the body. How does psychiatry treat depression? Without even looking at your mind, it gives you medicine to set right the hormonal balance. And when the hormonal balance happens, temporarily you feel okay. And generally any psychiatrist will tell you, that if a person unfortunately becomes a psychic case, by and large he stays a psychic case for his life. You know, he keeps taking pill all his life and trying to balance his hormones, you know. And because the problem is elsewhere actually, if you see very carefully, you understood? The problem, so it's a very interesting thing. Though we don't even know where the mind is, we treat mental diseases based on the effects of mind on the body. That's what we are doing all the time. You get this point? Yeah. So now let's go back to the slide. Yeah. Okay, so now, yeah. Yeah, we were here, consciousness. So just like, I mean, we have a camera over here that's recording and you guys are also hearing my talk. Okay, so the similarity of course is that the memory. Basically this has a 32 GB memory and perhaps each of us have our own, whatever unlimited memory that we have, which we don't use most of the time. Of course this is recording better because everything that I spoke literally gets into its memory and you can retrace it. But human brain, half the things perhaps you're not hearing, you're wondering when the idiot will get out or whatever. You know? So, right? You get the point. But the whole thing is, in the machine, they experience the emotion, the consciousness, the judging is not there. Whereas in a human it exists. So these are symptoms of consciousness. So this is where we are. Okay, let's go ahead. So the main difference between a human and a machine is as simple as this, that a human basically undergoes changes. Like anything living is born, it grows, it maintains, some byproduct is there, it dwindles and it dies. Whereas a machine, what happens to a machine? Does a machine go through all 6 changes? What are the changes that the machine goes through among these 6? It's born, it's created. Then? No, it doesn't maintain actually. It only dwindles and it dies basically. It maintains as in we maintain, that's a different thing. No. But in its... Huh? No, we have to decide what is growth. No, one second. This is going to be different. No, that's not the growth that I'm talking. That is, I am taking out my memory of 32 GB and inserting the 64 GB. It's not that this 32 GB only becomes 64. Neither does it produce a byproduct. Like my apple